Welcome to a soggy Daytona International Speedway in Florida, where the ARCA Menards Series is scheduled to compete today in the General Tire 100 Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. There you see light thunderstorms in the area. We believe there is a window to get this race in today in approximately 30 minutes. So that's what we are optimistic for today. I am Bob Dillner, Jim Trado, Dave Reef, taking cover at Daytona International Speedway today. On the road course for the first time in ARCA Menards Series history at this famed facility on the east coast of Florida. Earlier today, heavy rains pounded Daytona International Speedway. In fact, severe lightning strikes in the area as well. You see that right there. Everybody took cover for a while here at Daytona. But Jim, there is hope to get this race underway today, and it's not just because we might see some clearer skies later on today. A bit of optimism at Daytona International Speedway for the ARCA Menards Series. The eastern side of this racetrack, you can see some sun breaking through, but clouds and some storms still to the west. A damp racetrack. On the road course for the first time at Daytona for the ARCA Menards Series, Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. Hey everybody, I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me is Jim Trado as well as Dave Reef. He's taking cover right now, but the hope is very prominent here today because we could even be racing in damp conditions today for these stock cars.
Chandler Tire brought some grooved wet tires, so we have some rain tires here with us. We also have the safety option. There's a flashing red light they'll put in the rear window, and you can add a windshield wiper upon direction if you change to wet tires, which is very likely at the start of this one.
Practice earlier today. This one is going to be a little new twist for a lot of these drivers.
It was in sunshine and then lightning rolled in, so we only had a 40-minute practice session, so the drivers got 4 or 5, maybe 6 laps.
We will update you a little bit later on at the top of the hour to let you know what the progress is here today. We hope for some racing for the ARCA Menards Series today, but in the meantime, we are going to show you some ARCA racing from Lucas Oil Raceway earlier this year outside of Indianapolis on the short track at IRP. It's time to hit the beach, Daytona Beach, Florida, for the ARCA Menards Series. It's the General Tire 100, Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. Mother Nature brought the fury a little while ago here to the eastern part of Florida, but now you see some sun setting here over this big racetrack, Daytona International Speedway. Hello everybody, I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me in the booth for tonight's race is Jim Trado. New twists and turns to the ARCA Menards Series here at Daytona for the first time ever on the road course. All of these drivers, Jim, do they know what to expect here tonight?
There's a number of unknowns. They've added a chicane to this track. So Haley Deegan, for example, raced the day before the Rolex 24 here in an IMSA MP Challenge race. She got a lot of track time, but not this track configuration. And Michael Self comes in with the point lead. He's a road racer by trade, now racing an ARCA. This is his first chance in an ARCA Menards Series car to race on a road course. So he has expectations to get out of here with a point lead and perhaps a trophy. But we also have some road course ringers that have circled this as a way to get racing here in the ARCA Menards Series. A couple of new drivers to the sport that have a lot of road racing background will join us this evening in the race.
Daytona is a special place in the history of the ARCA Menards Series. This racetrack just a couple of miles off the coast of Florida. And this place normally a 2.5 mile high bank tri-oval. But today, Jim, 14 turns in all is what the drivers of the ARCA Menards Series will tackle.
This road course has been this configuration since 1962. They've added the backstretch chicane called the bus stop, and the new addition is the chicane that comes off of NASCAR 4, turns 13 and 14 before heading to the front stretch. So that new twist has a lot of drivers staying up late nights on the sim if they get a chance to test here. We had a very limited practice session, Bob. It was cut short by lightning. This weather has played havoc, but you know what? There's dampness on the racetrack. Road course guys are probably salivating right now saying, let's get at it. Let's keep this track nice and damp so they can prove their prowess in the wet.
So what are these drivers thinking going to this first ever road course race? on the Daytona road course? We asked them that question this week.
So it's definitely not my forte of anything I've got in the bag. So it's definitely stressful for me to make sure nothing crazy happens.
Turning right and left is going to be a little bit different for me, but just keeping a clean nose, not going off track, not wrecking or anything. And it's really cool that we get to go run down there, watching the 24 Hours of Daytona. I love watching those.
I haven't asked for any type of advice. I haven't done any type of sim time right now. We're going in and we're gonna go win the race regardless. I have a great team. I have great people around me. Michael Self's a road course driver. I'll ask a little advice from him when we get down to Daytona. I'll take everything with a grain of salt, and I think we're just gonna go do our thing like we normally do.
Man, I'm excited, man. It's finally here. I mean, finally I get to go race an ARCA car on a road course. It's eluded me for so long, right? I mean, and they put Daytona on the list, which I think is awesome. Daytona's got a ton of history as far as the road course goes. I mean, it's got basically turns 1 through 7 on the infield, and then the bus stop on the back straightaway, and you go, well, it's not all that much, but there's a ton of technique. To get to go run that track, even with a small addition to it this week, I'm really, really looking forward to. Not that this is what people want to hear, but maybe a little bit more spread out racing, but I think you're going to see the guys that are truly good road racers excel.
And let's not forget another element. This is not a dry racetrack, it's a wet one. Let's find out what's going on trackside with the third member of our broadcast team, Dave Reef.
Well, Bob, in just a few minutes, you guys will get to the starting lineup, but starting from the pole position tonight is Chandler Smith, one of those guys you heard from. He gets that position based on the Sioux Chief Showdown owner points, and this is a man that is riding a 3-race winless streak who hopes to bust that tonight. He always envisioned racing here at Daytona, but it was always on the oval. Imagine your first shot at the World Center of Racing on a 14-turn road course. Wow.
A lot of anxiousness today for a lot of the drivers, Jim, I think, going into this race, and it's complicated by the wet weather conditions we've seen today.
Yeah, the balance of who has experience. Yeah, the balance of what tires do we put on the car. ARCA will allow the teams in moments at their direction if they allow to choose the wet tires or not. The track is damp. And when the track is damp, it's not quite wet enough for the wet tires to have maximum grip. So there's a balance there. If the track's dry enough and the racing groove becomes a dry surface, boy, if you have rain tires on, that's going to chew you up in a hurry. There's a lot of strategy going on right now on pit road just before we go green.
Teams will have the choice, stay on the slicks or go to those treaded tires made by General Tire. Big question we'll see unravel here at Daytona International Speedway just momentarily. There's the point leader, Michael Self. He has had a very strong year so far. And now for the most famous words in motorsports on behalf of General Tire from Oregon, here is the staff from Northwest Wheel and Tire at Daytona.
Wheel and Tire in beautiful Bend, Oregon. And we love General Tires.
Drivers, start your engines!
Jim, that's a sound we've been waiting for more than 3 hours. A scheduled 5 p.m. start today for the ARCA Menards series, but finally we hear those engines come to life at Daytona.
A lot of stories. Michael Self did not get much track time today. Sam Mayer had a spare driver take a few laps today. More on that during this race broadcast as well.
Plenty of storylines to play out here, especially will they go to treaded tires? A lot of questions still to be asked. Who will get the victory? It's a historic night for the ARCA Menards series, the first road course race here at Daytona. We are about to do something we didn't know if we would get to do tonight at Daytona International Speedway, and that's go racing with the ARCA Menards series here at Daytona International Speedway and the road course. The General Tire Pole Award today established by owners' points of the Sioux Chief Showdown, and that's why the number 20, Chandler Smith, will lead the field to the green flag.
It's going to be interesting because Chandler Smith has told us he does not have any road course experience. The owner's points place him in this position.
Chandler Smith last year north of the border in Canada did run a NASCAR Pinty Series race, so no ARCA road course experience. Here's the starting lineup presented by General Tire with Chandler Smith on the front row with his Venturini Motorsports teammate Michael Self.
This is again on Sioux Chief Showdown points. So Taylor Gray, the 15-year-old making his road course run here in the ARCA Menards Series, has 2 starts at Utah Motorsports Campus. He'll roll off 4th in the DGR Crosley number 17.
Ty Gibbs, 3 times a winner already this year, and he's pretty good on a road course as well. We'll talk about that. Brett Holmes comes into this race 2nd in the point standings.
Hailie Deegan, a ton of confidence knowing she had all that track time in January prior to running that 4-hour race in a sports car here in January in the IMSA MP Challenge.
Rounding out the top 10, Thad Moffitt, 5th in the series standings, and 3rd place point man and winner at Talladega. That was a super speedway, just like Daytona, but we're on a road course now, the 15 of Drew Dollar.
Great to see Nick Igdalci say, I've got to run this race. He's in the number 12 for Andy Hillenberg. He is the CEO at Pocono Raceway, an avid road racer. Good to see Nick back in the ARCA Menards Series. He's raced here on and off, normally at his home track, so he's kind of at home on a road course too. He'll start 11th.
A guy to watch for tonight is Max Mclaughlin, starting back in the 16th spot. A winner in the ARCA Menards Series East last year at Watkins Glen. So he is growing up around dirt tracks, paved tracks, but awfully pretty good as well on a road course.
Ayrton Ori from Orlando, Florida is a 16-year-old road racing expert. This kid loves it when it's wet on the racetrack. He is making his stock car debut. He got to run a BMW in the Champ car, which is really Chump car race here this season. So he's got some road course experience in a big car, but only 1 race, and it happened to be here at this road course.
An interesting development tonight, we are told, for the 21 team of Sam Mayer. For more on that, let's go to Dave Reed.
Well, Bob, Sam Mayer was getting some practice time out at Road America in a Trans Am 2 race just 1 week ago when he was involved in a chain reaction accident running in 2nd place. Now, he ultimately finished in that position because the car exploded, but he was injured in that incident, has a hairline fracture on his right thumb, says it is extremely painful. So the plan for Sam Mayer is to take the green flag, and then this man, even though it says Sam Mayer here, Sam Mayer here, Sam Mayer here, that is not Sam Mayer. That is Colin Braun. And I know, Jim Trado, you know more about this guy. This is a road course veteran.
Colin Braun on standby for Sam Mayer has won the Rolex 24 twice, including this past February in the LMP2 class. That is wicked fast. He's got a ton of experience. A great pick for that team if Sam's not able to go the distance.
One guy that is really looking forward.
Of course, the reason for that, not to interrupt, the reason for that, guys, is remember this is a Sioux Chief Showdown race, and Sam Mayer wants to protect those points. So because of that, he intends on taking the green flag. Whenever that first caution comes out, that's when the driver switch will take place.
Oh, Dave, thank you so much for that report. That's a guy right here, the Sinclair machine from Michael Self, that's really looking forward to the road course. He has a big road course background.
Yeah, we saw the water spray as well. Michael Self, certainly a contender here. I alluded to the fact earlier he did not get much track time. There were a couple of cautions during our practice session. He was out on the track a couple of times, but he also had a spark plug issue that prevented him from getting a lot of track time in that 40-minute abbreviated session. So for him to be in this position, the confidence is in what he knows as a road racer. He comes here every year as a coach for TA2.
He's carrying the Sioux Chief onboard camera tonight. Ayrton Ori also with an onboard camera, the General Tire camera. He's starting a little bit further back in the field. And right here you see, basically that's turn 4 of the big track. But right here that dips into the brand new turn to the road course. And then coming out of the road course, that's when teams can come down pit road.
The teams are following the Toyota Super Pace car because the series has said, okay, we're going to let you out on slick tires. We're going to come down to pit road on this very first pace lap. They've told all the teams this. Be ready if you'd like to make the change to your wet tires. This is an opportunity to do that, and there's a great look at the treaded tire that these teams look to be putting on based upon the spray we saw, Bob, on that initial pace lap.
I was going to say, we saw so many cars with just water dripping off of them. So a lot of these teams, I would assume all of them, Jim, going to change to the treaded General Tire here at Daytona. And then possibly around that lap 14 race break, we might see them, depending how the track is and how it dries out, maybe go back to the slicks.
And if it dries out in a dramatic way, we may see green flag stops for tires. They cannot add fuel unless it's the race break. But after this one change from a different tire to a different tire, dry to wet, these teams have the option going forward at crew chief's discretion, not series discretion, when they change back to slicks.
So all the teams putting the treaded tires on here. We are about to make history at Daytona International Speedway. This one is going to be a lot of fun tonight. The General Tire 100 for the ARCA Menards Series, round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. It's next, live on MAP TV from Daytona.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards, save big money at Menards.
Racing in wet conditions for the ARCA Menards Series tonight at Daytona International Speedway. It's basically ARCA Night in America now, live on MAV TV. We were scheduled to start at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and now just after 8 p.m., Chandler Smith in the JBL.com number 20 for Venturini Motorsports will lead the field to the green flag.
Keeping the cars on the infield road course here until all the cars have the option to get completed pit work and reassemble. They didn't want to keep them on turn 1. They brought them here to the infield portion of the course. They're sitting now on the kink, which separates the international horseshoe from the west horseshoe. So it's good to be on a nice flat dry area here behind the pace car. Gives them a chance to get through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and up to the kink here.
And where they are here in this portion of the race course, I spoke to Michael Self about that this week, a very technical portion of this 14-turn road course at Daytona. This, honestly, can separate the contenders from the pretenders today.
And really, Bob, we talk about that line drying out. This is the area to make hay. If you have the right setup and you need to run in the water to keep your wet tires from burning off on the dry surface, this is the area of the track I see you can make up some time, because other portions of the track may not have that option for you as we roll them here, Bob.
Let's give you some perspective on what this track is. 14 overall turns. We just saw the cars that was stopped in between turn 4 and turn 5. That's a precarious portion of this road course. And then you go on to the super speedway, a little bus stop on the backstretch, some high-speed turns again, and then you basically have to stop the car going into turn number 13.
Yeah, it's crazy to know how many shifting moments there are in this race. You got to be really smart about it, especially in the wet. Not a lot of the drivers have that experience. We've seen group tires on the dirt mile racetracks here in the ARCA Menards Series, but this is a whole new ball game for a number of these drivers, a lot of them.
And I'm sure there's a lot of strategy involved as well tonight, especially for the crew chiefs. Dave Reef, what do you know?
Well, imagine these numbers. 1,486th ARCA race happening right now for this long storied sanctioning body, but just the 23rd overall road course race and the first since 2017. So yeah, it has crew chiefs guessing, it has drivers wondering what to take in tonight, but as far as the crew chiefs go, their biggest problem was selecting the gear ratios, making sure their car could get up off of a corner and get up to speed as quick as possible. And those gears will have to be shifted by drivers. 14 turns, 28 laps, that is a lot of shifting. So every missed shift is an opportunity to give up a little bit more track time. So the drivers are going to have to be very, very good as well. And then drivers cannot overcook any of these corners or the chicane, where there are a couple of penalties in play if they do that. So bottom line, whatever team can get their driver most comfortable and whatever driver can make the fewest mistakes, those are good drivers to have if you're playing a pool tonight.
And Jim, just an interesting nugget there. You see Brett Holmes in the 23. Certainly not a road course ace. He does not profess to be good on a road course.
He's climbed to within 4 points of the championship lead by a string of top 5 finishes. However, they did not plan on running this race. They did not plan on running Mid-Ohio or Watkins Glen originally scheduled. This road race car they got from Kenny Schrader's shop. And this Ford is the first time Brett Holmes has been on a road course since 2017, when he ran at Road America and finished 10th there. So that was a long time ago, and really this team has been preparing for this, but only in a short order.
So we know our normal competitors, but we have some road course ringers in the starting lineup tonight, and that's part of our Bounty Rookie Spotlight.
Nick Igdalski has raced here in the Grand Am during the Daytona road course. Will Rogers, man, he is really good in this kind of car. He's won on both the ARCA Menards Series East and West on road courses. And this 19-year-old Parker Chase that Chad Bryant Racing has signed on for a development deal, he just podiumed at an IMSA MP race last weekend at Road America, and he's raced here at the Rolex 24 3 times, the last 3 years in the 22. Aaron Norrie as well, that 16-year-old. He got to run the USF 2000 series. He is racing here for the first time on this road course since he got a chance to drive a BMW Again, a detuned car, a heavy box stock car that should help him here on this racetrack.
Before we go green, I want to know, what do you think this is going to be like heading into turn number 1? A lot of inexperience here and wet track conditions.
We hope the confidence of Chandler Smith will get him into turn 1. Michael Self has more than just this race win to worry about, so I expect them to kind of work their way through. Sam Mayer's eager to get as many laps in as he can. He knows he's not going to be able to finish this race, so I think those first 3 cars will dictate. The unknown, I believe, is in that next row. The number 17 of Taylor Gray, not a lot of road course experience, went to Utah Motorsports Campus June 27th. Did okay there. That track's a whole different animal than here at Daytona.
He had a couple of top 10 finishes, and you see the wiper blade on that race car for Taylor Gray. Several of these cars do have the wiper blades, and that might come in handy, quite honestly, going into the first turn, especially with the overspray if you're following somebody.
The visibility is key, and we saw a lot of standing water. Michael Self and Chandler Smith, our front runner starters, do not have the wiper blades. They want that clean air out front and a clean vision.
ARCA Night in America on MAV TV starts now at Daytona. Smooth through the first couple of corners already. Michael Self in the 25 takes the lead. Taylor Gray, even with not much experience, he gets to second. Here comes the 18, that Monster Energy machine for Ty Gibbs. Ty does have a bunch of road course experience.
I give a lot of credit to these drivers and these teams. We expected at least 2 cars off by now. Just 4 turns into this race. I'm telling you, these guys are doing a great job, learning as they go, pedaling down. Now, Ty Gibbs in that number 18, we saw how strong he is here on MAV TV in the Sioux Chief Showdown oval races. Well, that young man raced just last weekend in a Trans Am TA2 car for Mike Cope Racing, and he's loving that series. There's 4 or 5 races in that series, including at Road Atlanta in recent history. So he's getting a little bit confident here on these road courses as well as running the East race last year on Watkins Glen.
Just want to address the lights that we see in the rear glass on these ARCA stock cars. Basically, it's not a brake light. It's a sort of tail light, just to notify the drivers that are behind you, whether it's in adverse racing conditions or through some of the darker parts of this racetrack, to let you know that a car is in front of you.
And we saw them at Road America last weekend as well when they had weather delays there during the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. It is a safety light. It does not indicate when the brakes go on, but it's another way for a driver behind to indicate, hey, if the rain comes hard, you at least know there's a car ahead of you if the spray is too excessive. Ooh, this is a really tricky spot to try to make a pass. Ty Gibbs, what are you doing?
Side by side for the lead. Ty Gibbs to the inside of Michael Self. Ty Gibbs has some road course experience in the Trans Am TA2 course. Michael Self back to second. Ty Gibbs to the lead here at Daytona.
We know the bus stop's a breaking point. Ty Gibbs just proved if you run next to somebody and it's a little bit slippery, this is what you got to do. It's the new Ty Gibbs move into the bus stop.
But watch this. You got to get her woed down into turn number 13 right here. That could be a trouble point a little bit later on in this race, especially if you're battling for the victory. Third place battle brewing just a little bit right now behind the top pair. Sam Mayer still on the racetrack. Fourth is Taylor Gray. Good run so far for the driver of the 17, Dave Reef.
You know what makes it impressive for Taylor Gray is the fact that this kid is only 15 years old. Did run out at both the road course races with the ARCA Menards West Series. Had good finishes of P4 and P11. Tire issues and battery issues kept him a little worse off for wear. But consider again, this kid is 15, he's racing at Daytona, and he's going up against some of the ARCA Menards regulars and doing a very good job. I wonder, though, how Sam Mayer's feeling. He thought perhaps there'd be a caution in that first lap, and that's when they'd make that driver change. He says his hand is hurting something fierce.
Will Rogers is on the move. That white number 17 car started 19th. And he's already cracked the top 5. Just an incredible performance from Will Rogers, and that's exactly what we expected.
But the line he's running, Bob, look how wide he's taking the corner. He wants to keep those tires nice and cool. He's running wide in the turns, but he's able to hold the speed because of that road racing experience. But the driver started racing karts in his home state of Hawaii before moving stateside. But his prowess in stock cars, unmatched when it comes to wins at this level in ARCA Menards Series West and ARCA Menards Series East in that number 17. I want to say He is proving now he is going to be in the hunt for the remaining of this race. 2 wins in New Jersey, won the East race at Watkins Glen and Sonoma in 2017.
And we expected this. We talked about it. Will a road course specialist run that outside groove? Traditionally, when it does rain, there's a lot of rubber on that inside groove, and because of that, it gets real slick. So a lot of the road course knowledgeable race car drivers go to the outside groove like we're seeing Will Rogers do here, even though there hasn't been a bunch of practice today.
Sioux Chief Showdown points are on the line, but right now Will Rogers is here for the W. He's not had a chance to race in stock cars this season. Ran a couple of Xfinity's races last year. It's all about the win for the Steve McGowan team. They are really, really happy with having Will Rogers in their car. They traditionally run in the ARCA Menards Series West, and I'm telling you, Will has been magical. He and Jefferson Pitts won both of those road course races in 2017. Certainly a threat. I'm sure an early sign by Steve McGowan to get him behind the wheel of this number 17 Chevrolet.
So Rogers continues to climb through the field. There is Ty Gibbs. He took the lead from Michael Self just a couple of laps ago, and now Ty Gibbs starting to open up a little gap between he and Self, almost 5 seconds the advantage. Here's the Auto Park It replay of the pass for the lead.
This is an area where you want to go single file, unless you're Ty Gibbs. Why not force Michael Self a bit wide? It didn't cost Self a lot. They didn't really make a lot of contact, and Gibbs gave him room. Great run there by Michael Self, giving the courtesy. He could have door slammed him very easily. There's more on the line than just this race win. On board with Michael Self here. He's not using a whole lot of track and giving Ty room, but just enough, and Ty took all of it.
That is the Sioux Chief camera. Good shot there from Michael Self's number 25 machine. Trouble for Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith in the top 5. He started on the General Tire pole, and he's off the race course. And I'm sure all of these crew chiefs reminded their drivers, stay on the black surface. Don't get out there to the green. But fortunately for the driver of the number 20, he's able to pull off that grass and get back out and continue racing.
Give him credit. The road course schools will tell you, do not spin the tires in the gravel. It'll bury you to the axle. He did really nicely there, getting out of the grass. It's a lot of standing water around this race course off the pavement. Did a nice job gathering it back up after that spin entering turn 3.
So Chandler Smith, he leads the Sioux Chief Showdown point standings, but he's got a big blow to that here today. He is going to be dropping way back in this field after a spin off the racetrack here at Daytona. It's Ty Gibbs over Michael Self, and right now Sam Mayer is still on the racetrack in 3rd.
Notice how Chandler's racing here. I'm looking for the spray, Bob. I'm looking to see how much is actually now drying off this surface. The high banks, no question, help to dry off with just the water going gravity downhill here.
Let's find out what happened to Chandler Smith. Now back out under speed here for the driver of the Venturini Motorsports number 20. We'll take a look at it with the Auto Park It replay.
Into turn 3 against the International Horseshoe, one of the first 2 horseshoes in band. He just lost it on entry, just totally washed out. Heading into the corner, no traction, locked up the brakes. I've seen a lot of cars go straight off there, Bob, in road racing. It's good to see that he was able to dial it almost as if he anticipated not be able to make the corner and spinning in the grass versus trying to find the tires.
Just a mistake, quite honestly. Did he get on the brakes a little bit too hard? Did he drive in a little bit too deep? Something that Chandler Smith is going to try to just survive now, I believe, to that only race break in this one at or around lap 14.
Chandler's been so good in this series. He has those 9 wins in just 24 starts over the last 3 seasons. We know he's got a bright future. We know he's going to race the Kyle Busch Motorsports truck again this year several times. This is really helping him again build that notebook. ARCA is a great development series. Chandler's proved that. Now that he's 18 years of age, he knows he's going after wins here. He'd love to have the points, love to have the Sioux Chief Showdown, but by his domination in the last 2 years, he's now grooming himself into another chapter. How can I road race? How can I do better in the wet? How can I find myself in a better position as a racer to do this professionally on Sundays?
We mentioned that race break. That will be an opportunity for teams to come down pit road, change tires, add fuel, make a chassis adjustment. Here's a look at the Geico Race 411. This race length, 28 laps. Doesn't sound like a long ways, but around this 3.61 mile road course, it's 100 miles. And this is the first ARCA Menards Series race on this particular road course of Daytona.
Potentially 50 miles in, these tires could be junked. They could be chunked off if the track dries out. Luckily, we're under the lights. I see the moisture staying in the track surface. That'll help these drivers navigate and get braver as we go on here, Bob, which could prove to be entertaining in itself.
Chandler Smith trying to work his way back up, but he's got a long way to go. He has dropped back to 12th here in the early going at Daytona. He's one of the potential winners. Michael Self wants the road course victory, but so do so many others. Hailie Deegan, could she score the win tonight here under the lights at Daytona for the ARCA Menards Series? Riding on board with Michael Self in the General Tire 100 for the ARCA Menards Series, round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. Michael Self currently in second, 7 seconds behind the man that is setting the blistering pace right now, Ty Gibbs. But Michael Self is the point leader coming into this race. We take a look at the Geico point standings for the ARCA Menards Series. Only a 4-point margin between Michael Self and Brett Holmes. That championship chase definitely heating up just past the midway point in the season here in ARCA. Drew Dollar, the top rookie, in the 3rd spot in the standings. Hailie Deegan is 4th with Thad Moffitt rounding out the top 5. Right now, speaking of Hailie Deegan, she's currently riding in that 7th spot. And her car, Jim, looks a little bit different than most of the cars in the starting lineup.
It's got the monster teeth on it. It's one of the 3 cars that have actually had some road course lineage that are still allowed to race in the series. This is not a composite body car. This is a car that's been racing in the NASCAR canon east and west. Started out in the Turner Scott Motorsports camp. Scott Heckert actually won 3 road course races in this car. Now it's in DGR Crosley's camp. Ooh, there's the 46 of Thad Moffitt going on. He's running 6th or 7th. He also has one of those composite body car, non-composite body cars. Looks a little bit more slope like the old Cup car. And Thad, man, he had a good run going. He was hanging real tough with some road course ringers there a moment ago.
Yeah, Thad Moffitt, he had just gotten passed by Orion Mclaughlin to drop him back to 10th, but right now he's a little bit stuck. He needs to spin that car without going in the grass, because if he gets in the grass, that could spell trouble for him. You can get stuck in a hurry. He's able to do that. Thad Moffitt, 5th in the series point standings coming into Daytona.
And they're not allowed to use that inside paved area. That's where the motorcycles race here at Daytona. During bike week, they're not allowed to use that portion of the cutoff. They must use the race course as designed for this stock car event.
Thad Moffitt is teammates with Hailie Deegan at DGR Crossley Racing. So Thad Moffitt gets going again. Deegan, the teenager, the daughter of Brian Deegan, the X Games medalist. She's in the top 10, having a good run. She has a little road course experience at Daytona earlier this year. Let's find out more about the number 4 team with Dave Reese.
Well, in talking with Hailie Deegan heading into this race, she kind of considers road courses fitting to her strong suit a little bit. Plenty of experience out on the west side. But keep in mind, she's part of a DGR team along with Thad Moffitt. They spent a lot of time talking about racing in Daytona. But Hailie Deegan is surrounded by some really, really good people. Her crew chief, Seth Smith, the owner, David Gilliland. She's got plenty of avenues in addition to that Ford Performance Simulator we talk so much about. Add in the fact that Hailie's a quick learner. I guarantee she's not happy about the position she's in right now, but she still has 22 more laps to improve upon that, and I bet she does.
That simulator was very big, Jim Trado, for several competitors this week. A lot of time on the sims right around the Charlotte area.
The Ford Performance Simulator is the fancy one. That's where all the Cup guys go practice there. They added the road course with the chicane on it for her. I also need to say that if you know the Deegan family, she's ultra competitive, so is her dad. They both own go-karts that race at the GoPro Motorplex in the Charlotte area. That's a road course event that holds national events. They go there at least once a week, and so Hailie's always about road racing and getting some track time and beating her dad.
Oh, yes. There is a little rivalry, a lot of competition in that family. Here is Brett Holmes, 2nd in the series standings by 4 points behind Michael Self. Brett Holmes, admittedly, not a very good road course racer. He's running in 10th, but he told me this week, we talk about the simulators, Jim, he doesn't have one of those, relationships with the manufacturers. His simulator is basically a wheel and pedals at the shop on a table in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Doing that between working for the family business. Doesn't have a lot of time to do all of it. He's also putting his thesis together for his final semester at Auburn as a building science major. So a lot going on in the world of Brett Holmes right now. Running that number 23. I like the fact that he's able to keep that car on the racetrack. I think that's his main goal. I don't want to get off the track. He's running 10th right now. If I was him, I'd be pretty okay right now. I don't need to be running top 5 at something that's so foreign to him.
This is his 2nd career ARCA Menards Series start on a road course. Now, he told me I wasn't allowed to talk about what happened to him at Road America 2 years ago, but he didn't tell you.
No, he actually spun on the opening lap at Road America. Again, the ARCA Menards Series raced there in 2017. 2 races there, one by Chris Buescher and one by Austin Theriault. And that race had a lot of action in it. I mean, Chase Elliott should have won, spun out of the last lap. Matt Tiff should have won, spun the last lap. Dalton Sargent spun. The top 4 cars spun on the last lap. So for Brett to recover to finish top 10, as embarrassing as that first lap was, I think it's okay for this young driver who's used to racing at the Talladega short track on the dirt in a big old horse-powered late model. I think he's adapting just fine here tonight in this car.
He's a good sport too. From Alabama, his family, he and his father Stacy have worked together through the ranks, pro late models, super late models, and here to ARCA as well. Sam Mayer in 3rd. Hey, Dave Reeve, I got a question for you. I thought Sam Mayer was supposed to be out of this race car by now.
Well, and I'm starting to wonder if Sam Mayer isn't feeling any pain right now. I just checked in with Colin Braun to see what was going on, and he's up here on the box with Marty Lindley getting ready to perhaps make that switch should it ever come. But right now, he is feeling very, very good. Remember, this is the guy that swept both the Toledo races and is feeling very, very good about his position in the Sioux Chief points. So, you know, once you kind of get inside that race car, you get your race face on, you get concentrated, all of a sudden Colin Braun is wondering, will I see that race car tonight?
Colin Braun up on top of the pit box with crew chief Marty Lindley on the right side of your screen. But Jim, we've talked about this. You have an injured racer there with his hand, the number 21 driver, Sam Mayer, but he is showing a valiant effort here tonight to keep that car in contention. He is catching Michael Self in front of him, but Sam has gotten a bunch of road course experience over the last couple of years.
He won the championship last year in the ARCA Menards Series East, becoming the youngest national NASCAR titleist. To do that, he had to run the Watkins Glen Road Course. 2018, he did a one-off there, started 20th, finished 5th. Last year, started 9th and finished 3rd. A podium finish at the road course where a lot of ringers went after it last year. He also has a go-kart track, a half-mile go-kart track in his yard in Franklin, Wisconsin. He's been taking laps on that since the age of 4. A lot of road racing background in Sam Mayer's background before turning his attention to stock cars. Oh, but did I mention he's only 17 and he's been doing this only for 4 to 5 years in stock cars?
He's impressive. Wisconsin proud, as we like to say, hashtag Wisconsin proud for the driver of 21. Nick Igdalski, by the way, spun on the racetrack just moments ago, the CEO at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Ty Gibbs, what a blistering pace for him. But as we say that, we see the margin between he and Michael Self has actually shrunk just a little bit. We'll get back to that. Here's the Auto Park-It replay of what happened to the 12 of Nick Igdalski.
The Jacob Construction Toyota goes into turn 3. Again, this is the Eastern or International Horseshoe. Just locked it down. He knew he wasn't going to make the corner. Unfortunately for Nick, that's the second incident today. He had one early in practice as well, but great to see him back here in the series. And he ran here in 2010 full time. That's the same year he made a couple of Grand Am starts, including here at Daytona.
So that margin was more considerable a couple of laps ago, but Self has closed it down just a little bit on Ty Gibbs, down to 3.5 seconds. So Michael Self starting to learn this racetrack just a little bit more. He's been on the simulator. He said he was really glad they put the chicane off what was normally the final corner to the normal road course here. But Michael Self starting to close ground just ever so slightly on Ty Gibbs. Sam Mayer currently running about 3 seconds behind second place Michael Self.
So when Michael Self's not in his ARCA Menards Series car, he is coaching drivers for Mike Cope Racing in the TA2 category. They're awesome American muscle cars that run on road courses all over the country. He'll have 2 or 3 drivers. He's actually worked even last weekend at Road America, the day before racing at the big track in Michigan. And the number of drivers he's worked with, Harrison Burton, Christopher Bell, who won the Xfinity race last year at Road America. He has a lot of guys that interlope into the Mike Cope Racing camp to coach and to go through and analyze. So when he's behind the wheel, he's also thinking like a coaching individual. What do I need to do to improve? How can I make my corner better? He likes to study data. He likes to look at the Dartfish, which is a video comparison that they actually can overlay laps and see where your line is different than others and where they may be picking up speed is a great learning tool. He has all those things he's used to this point, but this is his very first ARCA Menards Series race on a road course, and he's looking like he's gaining speed because the confidence is there, and now he knows what the track conditions are like. I think Michael wants to win this championship so bad. He was in contention for the lead here. Let Ty Gibbs kind of go, and I think he's in the right spot where he wants to be right now in second.
But Michael Self told me he's not thinking right now about the championship. He believes that caught him off guard last season and also already this season. Right now he's focused on one thing, and especially here on the road course, he's thinking about winning. And that's because his racing dates back to some road course racing in go-karts when he was a kid, and then he was a teacher as well. Well, right now he's also been teaching a bunch of different kids on road courses around America, especially in the Trans Am TA2 series. We talked to Michael this week about his tutelage of some of these youngsters.
Living in Salt Lake City with Miller Motorsports Park out really close to me being my home track, the Ford Racing School was there. And that was kind of people I'd always grown up with and grown up around. I was able to get a job working out at the racing school as one of their instructors because I've always enjoyed sharing my passion for driving with others, the techniques and the abilities, and that now, even when I moved back east to North Carolina when I was working with Justin Haley, it's a good way for me to go really enjoy a weekend at the track, thinking about it from a different aspect of it. So I'm always thinking about road racing from one angle or another, whether it's driving, I get in and test with those guys, or I'm overlooking their data or their video. It's something that I just have a tremendous amount of, that I really enjoy doing. I mean, I love sitting down and doing that kind of stuff, and so there's no question that I've got that knowledge and that it's always on my mind, as much more so than anyone. So I guess, it all stems back from the early days. It's just carried through then, and I've always really, really enjoyed it.
Michael Self pretty happy to be on a road course, but Dave Reed, will he be satisfied with anything but a win today?
My guess is no. Yes, there's the bigger picture, the overall championship battle, and yes, he has a very sizable lead over Brett Holmes right now, which means he's adding to that championship tally. But you heard about his love of the road course, and when the 2020 ARCA Menards Series schedule came out with a pair of road courses on there, that got Michael Self very, very excited. But then when the COVID hit and those races went away, so did some of that excitement until Daytona came up. Because keep in mind, this guy hasn't won since the Daytona 200, the first race of the year. How cool would that be to bookend both Daytonas? After all, we don't know if we'll ever run this road course again. So you got to take this opportunity while it's here.
And now there's something else he's encountering here on this racetrack. He's actually now in lap traffic. So now it's a matter of dancing through cars and drivers that have less experience. Michael's got to keep this car clean and survive this one and bookend the Daytona runs here. Going through some lap traffic here, a couple of cautious moments for Michael Self now.
Michael Self has cut the lead down to 3 seconds almost exactly. Michael Self catching leader Ty Gibbs here at Daytona. Battle for the lead beginning to brew between Ty Gibbs and Michael Self. He has closed it in to just about 2 seconds in the General Tire 100 round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. You can see it looks like the 18 when he gets woed down there, just so slow before entering the high banks at Daytona. Wet conditions on this racetrack. Treaded tires for the General Tire class here for the ARCA Menards series. We had rains earlier. Kevin Reed, the crew chief for Michael Self, always a smart guy. Take me through what he did right here on his pit box.
These pit boxes have been sitting on pit road for quite some time, and that rain really came down earlier to delay us. So it's been holding water for a while, so Kevin has a moment. He's got about 2 minutes to think about what his car is going to do going by him, so he's got a chance to auto park and replay the water off the top of the canopy in his pit box.
He wanted to make sure that Kathy Venturini didn't get wet down there with all that water that had accumulated on top of that cover, on top of the pit box. His driver, Michael Self, they are going after the championship. It would be the second straight championship for crew chief Kevin Reed.
Let's listen to how he goes through this new chicane. And they're starting to use the turtles, Bob. We saw them on the pavement at the initial laps, but now those turtles brought over from Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval. They're screwed into the racetrack. They're not going anywhere, but now we see them bumping on both inner and outer portions of that turn 13 and 14 chicane.
Michael told me this part of the race course is the most difficult. He slid almost off the course a little bit there. Let's watch how he gets through this portion. Very technical here in the inner part of the racetrack.
He's also trying to search out some wet racetrack. We saw some drying on the high banks. The racing line is being used by single file after lap by the rest of the competitors, so he may be also looking for the shiny wet racetrack right now to keep those tires cooled off in this portion. Again, this is the kink between between the horseshoes. This is turn 4 into turn 5, which is that critical horseshoe. I see a lot of cars go off here late in a run through the soft brakes. You'll see how he does here as the cars ahead of him are nearly too wide as he enters the corner. Will Kimmel on his outside left.
He is there, almost to the back bumper of Ty Gibbs. Michael Self driving hard, charging here as we approach the mid-race break. At or around lap 14. We're 12 laps into this one right now, and basically no gap whatsoever, at least in road course terms, between first and second.
So we've instituted the race break since coming back from the COVID-19 breaks. What we have now in ARCA Menards series is we have race breaks. They're designated, but you do not lose your track time. It's designated pit stop times. It's a 5-minute window to change tires and fuel. This is a battle right now to see who will lead the restart. I think that's going to be critical to get the inside position on the restart after that race break. Again, when they come to pit road, they'll be lined back up in the order they came to pit road of the cars that pitted. I'm guessing all will, because it's the only chance they'll get to put fuel in them. And here comes Ty. Ty's now understanding what green means in the rearview mirror. It's getting bigger by the minute. That Sinclair dinosaur is coming after him.
He is indeed. Michael Self charging hard. Ty Gibbs trying to hold on, Dave Reef.
Just had a chance to speak with Mark Mclaughlin about what's going on with the 18 as the car is slowing down. He said, not really. He says, but what we probably did do is we sent Ty out there a little too aggressive early. So yeah, his car is going away a little bit, and Michael Self is beginning to chew him up. And keep in mind, Sam Mayer's still floating back there in third. He's been making some of the quickest laps of all of these competitors the last 3 or 4 laps.
Michael Self just about there. Look at how he gobbles up the 18, out-braking him going into the first turn.
Right there on the inside, it's a very narrow exit off of turn 1. It narrows up here in the old scoring lane, turn 2. Man, he got to his door, but let him through.
A heated battle now for first. 13 laps in.
Ty's front end washed out again there.
14, right around that will be the first race break, the only race break in this race. Michael Self, what's he going to do here? Will he go after him?
Ty made the move to the inside. He said, I need inside position on the west horseshoe. Try me on the outside if you want. And Self's doing just that. Through the kink, side by side here.
Michael Self, will he get position here? Tough way around this one. Can't do it right there. But he is outside in all over the back bumper of that Monster Energy number 18 for Ty Gibbs. Michael Self wants the road course win. He also wants the lead when we approach the halfway point here in just a lap.
Setting up in wide and 6 to exit off the bottom onto the high banks in NASCAR 1. Gibbs had a great drive off though. Here we go, side by side on the high banks in Daytona for the lead.
He's got it. He's got the run here. But Ty Gibbs always very strong down the backstretch here. I've been watching that car from the Sioux Chief onboard camera for Michael Self. Side by side for the lead on the road course of Daytona. They almost trade paint down the backstretch.
Ty got awfully close to the outside safer barrier as well on the backstretch. Now having to woe it down. This is where Ty made the bold move early. He'll still stay side by side in the bus stop.
Thad Moffitt's slower car. He's going to be a factor in this one as well.
Ty used up Self there to get through the bus stop.
Michael Self back to the bottom around the high banks. Turns 3 and 4 traditionally of the tri-oval at Daytona before heading into turns 13 and 14. You got to woe the car down here big time. Thad Moffitt moves out of the way side by side into one of the most difficult parts of the race course at Daytona.
Ty poured it in there. Can he make the turn? Can Self stay even? They're banging again off the final turn to determine who's going to lead this lap.
Great racing to the stripe. Who's going to get it here on lap 14? Will Michael Self lead? Oh, no, it's Ty Gibbs right now, still with the lead here at the halfway point in this race.
At or around lap 14, we're on lap 15, so perhaps this is the run to the halfway break, the race break here. We're staying green. Great action off the window. Oh, man.
Look at this. Sioux Chief, thank you for this onboard camera. Wow, great battle between Ty Gibbs and Michael Self. The young gun and the veteran, 29-year-old Michael Self. He says he feels like an old guy in the ARCA Menards series now.
He's taught a number of drivers. We mentioned Mike Cope Racing. Ty Gibbs has raced for Mike Cope Racing, but Michael Self has not been his direct coach. So they're trying to apply what they learned together here with that top-notch Trans Am TA2 team based out of Florida. Oh, man, listen to that. Downshift, downshift, downshift. Michael now is trying to prepare for another run on Ty Gibbs here by downshifting earlier in that corner.
Just listen to how technical Michael Self and his driving is. Trouble for Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs goes up in the corner, opens the door. The Red Seas are parted for Michael Self. He's to the lead at Daytona.
Self really backed up that corner, means he got way off the gas early in turn 6 to hit the high banks here at Daytona. Ty really overcooked that corner.
One mistake by Ty Gibbs for the teenager. That's all it took. Dave Reef.
Apologized quickly to his team. Ty Gibbs just said, I overcooked it. Wheel hump is what cost me the lead to Michael Self here. But his team reassured him. It's all right. Still a lot of racing to go.
Indeed. A little less than halfway through. The caution is out. What a pass for the lead, Jim Trado.
Oh, man.
What a pass. One mistake.
The last 2 laps have been amazing to watch. And I'm guessing Ty Gibbs was hoping to maybe get that race break caution when he drag raced to the line a lap ago. Again, the race stayed green. It's up to the series discretion. At or around lap 14, Gibbs gave it a run, and the apology is going to be part of what Ty Gibbs will hunker down with. He's very critical on himself. He wants to perform and to a perfection. So we'll see how he responds here as these cars get woed down for what will be a 5-minute stop on pit road for a race break.
The wiper is on for Ty Gibbs. We didn't see a wiper on Michael Self's machine, but he is the leader halfway through this 28-lap race. There is that wiper. It's optional. You don't have to run it. But now he's behind Michael Self and getting some of that mist from the back of the 25, and I'm sure needed to turn that wiper on.
And Ty even kept the wiper on while he's racing. I mean, he gets so focused and concentrated. He admits that sometimes he doesn't hear what's on the radio, and when he talks back to his team on the radio, they can't hear him. He's so focused on what he's doing, he doesn't speak up. So I imagine that wiper, he just tuned that out. That's why it's still on. I don't think we need it at this point in the race.
I've had teenagers, though. Sometimes they just don't pay attention either.
Well, you're hitting the button on the radio, you're trying to look at your phone to see where you're going on the map. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Michael Self, his dream could come true tonight. Here is a look at how he took the lead coming to the halfway point in this race. One bad break for Ty Gibbs puts Michael Self in the lead at Daytona. The only race break for the ARCA Menards Series in the General Tire 100 Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown at Daytona International Speedway is now. Road course for the first time at Daytona for ARCA, and the first half of this race has had plenty of storylines. One of them certainly that number 21 machine, Sam Mayer. Even with that injured hand, he's still behind the wheel of the race car. Do you think he'll stay in? Jim Trado?
I don't know at this point. Now is the first time he's actually got to think about it because he's so focused on getting his car right, staying in third spot. We saw him lose a little bit of track time late in this run. It's a matter of finding out on pit road. Dave Reef is down there. I'm sure they're going to figure this out. Again, all the teams are coming to pit road. The 5-minute clock, will start after the last car stops on pit road. So that decision can be made within seconds here.
Hey, Dave, the big question is as well, treaded tires, or will we see them go to the slicks with this still damp conditions around this racetrack?
Well, as Michael Self comes in, here comes Sam Mayer. Ty Gibbs is already in, waiting for Chandler Smith. Most up and down the line, most everything we're seeing is still the treaded tire. We're talking about weather conditions. Yes, it's cooler, but there's not very much wind. The humidity is still there. The dew point's high. So there's still a lot of white racetrack. I mean, just looking across pit road, you can kind of see what's going on out there. So most of these teams, Bob, are going to stay with this treaded tire, knowing that they can always, should something happen, go back to the slicks.
And it looks like there's an extra crew member in that 21 pit that's wearing a helmet that's not going to fuel or gas the car.
Dave Reef, the other question during this period, Sam Mayer in that 21, we see the driver change taking place, bud.
Well, there was some laser focus going on inside of that race car. Sam Mayer made a valiant effort holding that car in third, actually gaining on the top two that were having quite the battle that we witnessed. But it wasn't until that caution flag came out that Sam Mayer said, you know what, come to think of it, my hand is sore. One of the big concerns for Sam Mayer, obviously, was whether or not Colin Brown could get up to speed, or better yet, how quickly he could get up to speed inside of that race car. The team, led by Marty Lindley, thought it would only take a couple of laps, and thinking, you know, taking the high road, if you will, Sam Mayer said, you know what, let's go ahead, let's put him in this race car, and let's make sure we can get this very sore hand to heal a little bit.
So he put on a brace to keep the glove on. Now he's going to put that brace back on again. A hairline fracture in his thumb. Very scary accident in a Trans Am race last Saturday at Road America. Was running in the top 3, got hit by 4 or 5 cars, and as he was about to get out of the car, it started on fire. So Sam jumped out, probably didn't realize his thumb was hurt then till well after. He said, man, the adrenaline kicked in, and I got out of a car with a 5-foot wall of flame next to the driver door. Glad to see him okay and okay enough to race to this point to 3rd in this road course race. I know he wanted a better chance. He raced that race last to tune up for this weekend at Road America.
Sam Mayer earlier this year, the #1 pick in the short track draft. 2 Toledo wins and a valiant effort today, Dave.
Already put the headset on.
He's going to go ahead and put on the headset. Yep, we're going to quickly get a chance to talk with him. Sam, that was a hell of an effort you were making out there. Obviously, when you are in the heat of the battle, that hand wasn't on your mind, not until that caution flag came out. How's it feel now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely pretty painful right now. Once all the adrenaline kind of went away, it started hurting pretty bad. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have faith in Colin, though, that he's going to get up to speed right away, and I think he has a chance to go out and win this thing.
Take me through your mindset. I know perhaps a lot of us pundits were thinking there would be that early caution. You even thought so as well. But all of these drivers did a great job navigating this first portion of the race. Are you surprised that you made it that long?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's hurting pretty bad right now. I wish a caution would have come out. I think it would have been better for me, but just drive through it, I guess they say, and hopefully Colin can get it to the end pretty good.
Well, Colin, first time he's been in a stock car since 2011. That's going to be very important. Go ahead and put your headset back on, but also go do yourself a favor. Get yourself a bag of ice for that thumb.
Sam Mayer, a true tough guy effort here at Daytona.
And that headset's important because he's going to want to talk to Colin Brown before Brown goes on the racetrack. This is good downtime for them. Marty Lindley was like, hey, put that headset on. Talk to Colin about what you think he needs to work on.
And look out. Colin Brown, a winner here at Daytona during the Rolex 24. This should be interesting. You watch a 21 car battle for the lead when we go green again here at Daytona. Let's check out the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap for the ARCA Menards Series in the General Tire 100 round 6 of the Sioux Chiefs Showdown. Michael Self into the lead, but then Ty Gibbs fought back in that Monster Energy number 18. Ty Gibbs took the lead and then checked out for a good portion of this race. Then a battle between the 18 and the 25. The 18 getting the lead right there. Chandler Smith, trouble for him, the point leader in the Sioux Chiefs Showdown. He goes around, spins out a couple times and into the grass. He has worked his way back into the top 10. Here's Michael Self charging hard into a difficult portion of the race course into turns 13 and 14. Man, Michael Self looked really strong. Near the midway point in this race, he was able to take the lead with this, a little wheel hop. Right there for the 18 of Ty Gibbs. Open the door for that 25.
Yeah, that left rear tire really went hopping. That's called wheel hopping. When you're over committed to the corner and hitting the brakes, the car tends to lock up. The left rear actually hopped instead of stayed adhered to the racetrack. That one move cost him the lead and the lead at the halfway point. Again, you lead a lap, you get a point. Lead the most laps, you get another point. Michael Self's the point leader by 4 over Brett Holmes, who's back in 11th right now. 1 point per position. Could be a huge point stay for every reason for Michael Self right now.
I'm really impressed with a lot of these drivers. They've stayed on course for the most part. We've seen a couple of spins. Ori, now that the General Tire camera, has moved into the top 10.
Yeah, he got up as close to 7th, but again, as this race wore on, drivers are doing crazy things on the racetrack. Some are going off, some are getting out of the way, and let's see how Ayrton advances here. He had a really good run from 16th to 9th early in the run.
This is a Long Island-based team, the Visconti Motorsports team. And Ori, he should be interesting to watch in the second half of this race.
His goal is Formula One. His first name is Ayrton for a reason. His parent, his dad, a huge Ayrton Senna fan. Ayrton is a huge Lewis Hamilton fan. He got to race in a support race in Montreal when Formula One was there, when he's running F1600, and he said that was the highlight of his racing thus far. He wants to race in Formula One someday and hopes to get some notice here, Dave.
Kind of night he was looking for. and he's making his ARCA debut in a stock car, a car that he thought would be a heck of a lot different than those Formula open wheel cars you were talking about. They're bigger, they're heavier, but he says, you know what? The power to weight ratio is not too bad. Car's a little sluggish right when you hit the throttle, but he said these 600 plus horsepower these ARCA Menards cars have, he likes it, and he likes what he's doing here tonight so far in that 74 car.
Eric Norrie running 10th, and it's a lot different than what he's used to.
And we're double file here again. So he's not used to having a restart like this. He went through the initial start and everybody's cautious and played nice. Now it's time to get what you get. The aggression on this restart could either help this young driver or really penalize him, because if he barrels in there and they're 2 or 3 wide ahead of him, that could cause a lot of issues into this tight turn 1. It's a wide entry and narrows up to a 2-lane road in turn 2.
A sleeper here to watch as we're about to go green again is Will Rogers. I believe he got up there to 4th and then just rode, knowing that the race break was going to be at the halfway point. Will Rogers in that white 17 could be awfully strong.
Smart driver, didn't use his stuff up, but laid back to 15 seconds off a third. Not a big deal. Now he's going to push it here. We'll see how he makes the advancement. He started deep in the field. In the first 2 laps, he was in the top 10.
Michael Self and Ty Gibbs will bring the field back to the green flag for the continuation of history here for the ARCA Menards Series. First time on the road course at Daytona. Crucial first turn. Who's going to
Self
get
is
the
wide.
advantage?
Self got a little wide there. He couldn't help it. The angle he had in the first turn was not what he wanted, but he able to hold on lead here. Self got this lead by making that bold move before the race break. He's has control of this race right now.
Look at that. Taylor Gray has moved by Will Rogers. Taylor Gray in the 17, the 15-year-old, moves up another spot to 4th. Oh, Chandler Smith spins out, cars everywhere. The number 1, that Mohawk machine for Max Mclaughlin.
Mclaughlin started in 6th position on this restart. Chandler certainly doesn't want to lose any more points, being the Sioux Chief showdown point leader by just 6 markers over Michael Self.
Battle for the lead. Here comes Ty Gibbs, charging here, trying to get to the front once again. Michael Self trying to hold him off. Colin Brown now in for Sam Mayer in the 21. Rides in 3rd, watching this battle for the lead. Not going to watch it at all anymore. He goes to 2nd by Ty Gibbs.
So Ty was giving room to Michael Self to enter that corner. He got a little bit wide, and guess what? Colin Brown didn't knock on the door. He plowed it down in that number 21 machine, the Kelly Foundation Chevrolet, the GMS racing car prepared by Marty Lindley. That replacement driver is on a mission. He got the spot to restart in 3rd. The driver change did not put him to the back of the field. He got the same spot that Sam Mayer raced to in the first half of the race.
And he is going on the attack. Is not going to settle for 2nd here. Michael Self, when I talked to him this week, he told me, honestly, I'm just afraid a road course ringer was going to come in here and take my dream away. Could that be happening here? Through the bus stop, the 25 was better than the 21. The pass for the lead came just a little while ago, but the pass for 2nd less than a lap ago. Let's take a look at how Colin Brown, we're going to delay that because this is a heated battle in the top 4 right now. Ty Gibbs now looking to the inside of the 21 of Brown.
So Brown not able to do his agenda just yet because Ty Gibbs is a foot off his rear bumper going into turn number 1 here. Now even. That black monster Toyota to the bottom nearly eclipsed the inside sand barrels. Boy, Ty is letting it hang out right here early on. Now get 2nd spot back from Brown here in the 21. Just getting comfortable a lap into this run after your driver change.
So Brown in the 21 continues to work. A little bit surprised, honestly, he's not better through this part of the road course. Remember, he gained that 2nd spot because we had a side-by-side battle for the lead.
It was as the infield portion, the flat infield portion, turns and transitions in turn 6 onto the high banks here at Daytona. Ooh, look at this move now to the inside.
That's right where he did it last time. Ty Gibbs, very good through that portion of the road course in the infield here at Daytona.
West Horseshoe.
Once you get back out onto the racetrack, and a bobble there by Michael Self, just like Ty Gibbs did earlier in the race.
There's a lot of maneuvering to keep that car behind you, keep you in position. You want to be setting up for the next corner or 2. That's a road racing discipline that Michael Self has taught himself and many other drivers, and Ty Gibbs right there able to narrow up the corner, get to the bottom and get that lead back.
Ty Gibbs back to the lead. Michael Self now stares at him in front of him, wondering, man, what do I got to do to get back by the 18? Colin Brown in third, Taylor Gray in fourth, and Will Rogers rides back in fifth.
Some might think Michael Self has a little bus stop payback on Ty Gibbs. Ty got a little aggressive with Michael, trying to get that lead back on lap 13. Michael's just going to let that kid run off right now because, you know, he gathered him in rather quickly, I would say. Michael Self, the ending portion of the first half of the race, let Ty get that lead.
So the 18 leads this one, Dave Reef. What is that team thinking?
Well, that team is thinking and wonder if it's going to work out the same way as it did during the first half of this race when the 18 got that lead. And Mark Mclaughlin told me that maybe they ran that car just a little bit too hard. It's a couple of hard laps right there to get that lead back. Maybe Michael Self right now just playing rope-a-dope, letting him get away, letting him run that car a little hard. And then as far as Colin Brown goes, well, how about that kid? They were wondering, Sam Mayer, how quickly he would get up to speed. For a brief moment, that 21 car was up into second. And don't think that that 21 car is out of this race just yet, too. Colin may have a few tricks up his sleeve yet.
Sometimes you need to save your stuff until the end of the race. Maybe that's what Colin Brown is doing right now. Taylor Gray, I think the 15-year-old in fourth, just kind of hanging out. Probably can't believe he's doing so well on a road course here at Daytona under the lights.
Great look as these drivers are flying around this racetrack. We're used to showing short track oval racing here on MAV on the ARCA Menards series. I see glowing brake rotors here, Bob. They're not holding anything back right now. These guys are pushing it. And on this road course, down the long back straightaway, you hope you have enough brake ducting to cool off those brake discs. If you don't, you're going to be in a hurry. And a soft pedal means you're going to go off course or not get where you want to get, downshifting to enter these 14 corners.
10 laps to go for the ARCA Menards series here at Daytona. Ty Gibbs looking to pick up the big win at Daytona. One of 4 unique ARCA titles that you can earn in 2020. It's open to the East and West drivers and a big purse as well. Back at Phoenix Raceway to start the year, Chandler Smith, he won. He went 2 for 2 in the opening 2 rounds of the Sioux Chief Showdown. And then at Iowa Speedway, that's where Ty Gibbs shined before the kid from Wisconsin took center stage and won a pair of races at Toledo Speedway in Ohio.
Yeah, we doubled up at Toledo Speedway. Sam Mayer swept them both. Big smile under that mask, and that young driver is smiling now because he knows he did what he could to get this team in position. They made the decision on Monday. Hey, if your thumb is hurting, who can we put in this car? They found a really good driver in Colin Brown now. For the drivers, it's third in the point standings, and the driver who starts the race, Sam Mayer, will earn all the points for the Sioux Chief Showdown and the overall championship.
By the way, Chandler Smith currently running in 12th. Remember, he spun out early. The 23 is Brett Holmes. He's from Alabama, sat 4 points behind Michael Self in the series championship standings coming into this race. Well, he's improved a lot since we went green here in the second part of the race. He was 10th. He's moved up to 6th. Brett Holmes wasn't planning on running for the ARCA Menards Series Championship, and now he finds himself in the middle of a title hunt.
When you get this close to the championship, it changes a lot of things, and you start eating leftovers and start cutting some corners to be able to afford to do this. It's the best feeling in the world for sure. That first win, and that's why I was so upset after this last weekend too in Michigan. I felt like we let a win slip away from us, but we're really close to a championship here too. And we were at a point where we were fighting for wins, and now it's like, the championship is the war. So you definitely want to win the war, and I think that's the bigger picture here. And there was a point that we, especially at the beginning of the year before the pandemic hit, we didn't really have that in our sights. We had a couple of different routes we wanted to go with our team, and when that hit, a lot of things closed down, and it was hard for us to do what we were initially planning on doing. we came back after the break and we're like, man, we're running really well. Like, you know, we keep running in front of these full-time guys like every week, and it's hard not to think that we can win this thing. It was really tough there for a little bit and kind of risky to do what we're doing, but you know, I think this is something we've stepped back and looked towards for 3 or 4 years, and you know, we think it's worth it.
Brett Holmes has been nothing short of spectacular over the course of the second part of this season once we came back to racing during this pandemic. In fact, he has 6 straight top 5 finishes. Dave Reef?
And we just heard from him. Pre-pandemic, the plan was to do a variety of different things. It wasn't to race for a championship. That meant there was no plans for road course racing. This is a team that has some Chevrolets in the garage. They've got a Toyota. Whatever car they feel is going to work better for them. But if you look, there's a blue oval on the front of that car. That blue oval is a Ford. They don't have a Ford. In fact, it was just a couple of weeks ago when they got in touch with Kenny Schrader and Donnie Richardson, his longtime crew guy, and they put together a lease deal for the 23. And Shane Huffman basically said, listen, we're not saying we're not out here to win this race. We're out here, though, to have a good, respectable run and try to keep ourselves in this chase with Michael Self. Look at Haley Deegan, though. She's suddenly eaten the 23 up.
I saw something there. Haley made the pass, but more importantly, I'm focused on the damage on the left front of that monster Ford number 4.
Yep.
She's got a fender that may be rubbing on the left front General Tire here. We'll get a good look at as she comes around this 180 horseshoe. The left front fender's caved in. We saw it sparking as she made it from the high banks into turn 13 a lap ago. So the concern there for Haley Deegan, she's running in the 6th position. She was hoping for a really strong run here on a course she's familiar with. She said, man, it's finally a time, a course I'm familiar with. I don't have to worry about all the experience the other drivers have, as this is her first full season in the ARCA Menards series. But that's a concern that will grow, Bob, because that little bit of air loss, more importantly, if that's dragging on the track, that's causing grip issue. That's also maybe causing a tire issue. See, that's the front balance. It's made out of plastic, but there's something dragging on that car that could turn into more than just that piece of plastic front balance dragging in moments here on this car under braking. You can see it now really touching the surface.
Car still good enough to work around the 23 of Brett Holmes. Deegan in 6th, the 23 back to 7th. But we'll keep an eye on that front fender. Could also rub on that left front tire and could spell trouble for Haley Deegan late in this race. Only 6 laps to go. And by the way, a couple of teams actually took the slicks during that race break. One of them, the 17W of Will Rogers, who rides in 5th.
We didn't see him make a bold move at the start. It's a wet racetrack. He can't really make those bold moves, but as this track dries, they saw enough gray in the racetrack, whether they're watching our coverage
Battle
on
for
the
the lead. Battle for the lead. I'm sorry, Jim, but here comes Michael Self again. Self with a great move to the inside of that 18 of Ty Gibbs. We've seen this a time or two.
This is their favorite spot on the racetrack. It's amazing now. Going through that area in the infield, they went through the kink side by side. Self has the advantage. This is a 180 right-hander. Self on the inside drifts up through that corner, and Ty has to give way and give the spot as they head back out of the racetrack off for turn 6.
But usually Ty is better into this next corner. So we'll see what happens here. Ty Gibbs and Michael Self very equal at this stage of the game as we approach 5 laps to go.
This is a clinic put on by these two drivers who saw great lead changes to this point. We saw them battling. We saw them banging off each other. The respect is there. We know the speed is in the number 18, and Michael Self has said, our team has not had that speed. We're getting beat by this Joe Gibbs Racing, now Coy Gibbs Racing effort with Mark McFarland and their drivers, Bradley Herbst and Ty Gibbs. They have gone to work. This is a great effort here. As Michael Self said, I've been really good at big tracks, but not this year. We need to get our groove. They found it at Michigan. They're finding it here again tonight at Daytona.
Oh, he went through the mud a little bit, did Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs caught those inside tires and threw up some grass at the corner.
Agricultural racing by Ty Gibbs nicked the right front at the entrance to the bus stop on the backstretch.
Dave Reef, what's going on with the 18?
Well, that bus stop's the same problem that Haley Deegan and earned her fender damage in. You saw him just do that right now. But talking with Mark Mclaughlin about that aggressive start and how hard they had to run that car the first couple of laps, he looked at me and said, that may be our best option. Keep in mind, they're still on those treaded tires, but they know as this race goes on and this track dries out, as you can see here, as they race down the front stretch. Ty Gibbs is doing everything he can, Jim Trado, to try to find a little bit of moisture out there. Moisture that actually works better with those treaded tires in this case. But Mark Mclaughlin knows the 18's a little behind the 8 ball, so it's up to Ty Gibbs if he's going to be able to make that advantage disappear. Michael Self beginning to stretch it out.
Stretch it out indeed. Michael Self, you see him on the outside groove right there. 5 to go in the General Tire 100, round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. Self, Gibbs, Colin Brown, Taylor Gray, and Will Rogers, your top 5 in Florida.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Auto Park It. The future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com. Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. Hers, forever good. And by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products.
There have been 2 leaders in the General Tire 100 at Daytona International Speedway. Michael Self is one of them. The other is second place running Ty Gibbs. You barely see him in the shot right now, Jim Trado. That gap opening up between first and second.
And I'm a little concerned if I'm the crew chief for Michael Self, Kevin Reed, or I'm the crew chief for the number 18 of Ty Gibbs, that's Mark McFarland. This track is drying out quickly. These drivers are going to have to find where the water is on the racetrack, because these tires are not going to last long in that light gray portion of the racetrack. So perhaps Ty Gibbs is not pushing it as hard now, because the more you push on wet tires on dry surface, those tires will chunk and heat up and really cause issues and cause a lot of wheel hop and that kind of thing as the tread goes away, because the heat in that tread will chunk the tire, and they don't want to be in that gray area too long. So we'll see how that plays out here as Self tries to gap him now. It's up to what, a 2.59 second lead.
Did the 18 push it too hard early on in the second part of this race like he did in the first part?
I saw Ty mess up on 2 corners and then 4 corners, and he's not really responded since. I think he might have just had that moment of, man, I got to get it back together, but it didn't come quick enough. Self has been able to grow that advantage now. Now he's going high and wide into turn number 1, trying to keep those tires again in the cooled off, darker portion that's still wet on this racetrack.
So let's talk about what you could have done at the race break. You could have put on treaded tires or slicks. Only a few drivers put on the slicks, most notably the 17W of Will Rogers, but also Max Mclaughlin. He is in the top 10 as well as Ori, who has moved up to 8th. Those guys are on slicks right now. I think those guys were betting on this track really drying out in the second part of this race.
These are the 2 cars we spoke of. The number 1 ahead here is Max Mclaughlin, the winner last year at Watkins Glen in this race car for Shiggy Hattori. You see some body damage in the right rear corner, not a big issue here, but he is on slick tires, as is the car we were just riding along on. Ayrton Ori in his ARCA Menards Series debut. He enters this corner looking for the light gray, wanted to get maximum traction, and you see McLaughlin cook that corner, and now tied to Ori did the same thing. Followed him in that turn 1. It's so easy to follow the car ahead of you, get lulled into that. He blew the corner at the number 1 of McLaughlin. He was able to recover, and Ori lost a ton of time.
By the way, you saw somebody sneak by Ori, and that was the 20, who was the Sioux Chief Showdown point leader, tired down on the 74 of Ori.
Bad break for the young driver out of Orlando, Florida. Hopes to be in Formula 1 someday. He actually was trying to get exposure here with a win to maybe get funding to go race in New Zealand in Formula 3 in the wintertime. Great run for Arden. Earned a lot of respect here today in this big car. That left front tire may have popped just because the excessive braking he had into that corner in turn 1, trying to catch up to Max Mclaughlin.
By the way, you saw a green and white flash going by Ori in the 74. That was Drew Dollar. Dollar, the top rookie in the ARCA Menards Series, runs 15th. Let's check out what happened to Ori in the 74. You see him lock up that left front and just slides it through the corner going into turn number 1, slides off the race course, and you see Chandler Smith, that Sioux Chief Showdown point leader, go by him. That was for position. One more time.
Listen to the wheel lock here. Anytime you get the cheese grater called asphalt on these tires, slick or otherwise, man, that's going to take a huge toll, and it popped by the time you got to turn 3.
Just 2 to go. The 74 limps it around. He's got a couple of corners to go before he gets to the pit area. So Ori, he'll relinquish a spot in the top 10. Michael Self all alone now, a 4.5-second lead for Michael Self in the Sinclair 25.
Nice job by the number 10 car there, Mike Basham, the veteran out of Indiana. Not a road course veteran, but we've seen him give it a lot of courtesy here today for Andy Hillenberg in that number 10 car.
This has been the most difficult corner for Michael Self all day long. You can see him get a little bit loose coming off the corner too, kind of kick the tail end out.
And he told me prior to this, he wanted to get the gearing right to get that shift off of the infield up onto the banking. He said that was a huge moment for him to figure out and stay consistent with his shift patterns, getting in that mindset, getting that helmet on as a road racer before he got here. How do I improve my run? Now look at it, he's down below the yellow lines, looking for moisture. Our race leader is not wanting to cook his tires, but you see how low he got there, Bob, all the way down into the moisture on the backstretch.
Michael Self closing in on history on the road course at Daytona International Speedway. Going through the big track, turns 3 and 4, and then down into turns 13 and 14, probably the slowest portion of this course.
Yeah, Michael was really concerned about how tight that new addition is. Again, it's on the skid pad in turn 4 of the NASCAR oval. This is turn 13. Hard left and then hard right, almost 90 degrees to the outer wall before jumping over that last set of turtles on the left side, driver's left, and then get back through the gear here down the front stretch.
1 lap to go for Michael Self, the point leader of the ARCA Menards series coming into this race. Last year, he had the point lead late, had some mishaps, some bad luck, some mechanical failure, and on the final race of the year, he lost the championship.
Right here, he's trying to make sure he's maintaining the lead. He gained his second that lap, Bob. He's got that edge now. He might have pushed it a little bit in portions he didn't want to keep these tires cool. He was able to dip down the backstretch here on that last lap to get some moisture onto those treads to cool it for a moment.
Nearly a 6-second advantage for Michael Self. He doesn't need to charge. He needs to hit his marks on this final lap.
Man, he's been waiting a long time for this opportunity. He won 2 ARCA Menards Series West races at Brainerd in his career. He's run 16 times in the ARCA Menards East or West. Never has won a road course race or run a road course race here in this series.
Kevin Reed, always an emotional crew chief. Can he get the win? I'm sure tears are going to be brought to his eyes if he's able to do it. Just a couple of corners to go for Michael Self.
He's got to make it through that chicane, Bob. He's got to make all 14 turns. If he blows that, he's got to stop and go. So it's really important to get through this final section.
Michael Self began the year with a victory at Daytona. Now on the road course, can he grab the victory? Dreams do come true for Michael Self. He loves road course racing, and he makes history here at Daytona. How about that? Michael Self is going to win here at Daytona. Just an incredible performance for the 25. He spoke about it this week when we sat down. He said if there's one race on the calendar that he had circled once it was announced was Daytona International Speedway. And then the bright lights of Daytona, Michael Self is a winner on the road course here in Florida. There's Kevin Reed, tears of joy for his crew chief, Bill Venturini, on top of the box for him as well.
Kathy Venturini there as well. It's an emotional moment because they've been working so hard. They've told us they've been trying to play catch up since late July when they could not find the speed of other teams, including Brett Holmes and the number 18 team. They proved today with this driver and his strong talent and his ability and his belief in this man, Kevin Reed, who won the championship last year as a crew chief. Getting Michael Self this opportunity means the world to him at this racetrack.
I'm sure right now, underneath that helmet, Michael Self might have some tears of joy as well. Let's go to Dave Reed.
Kevin Reed, never short on tears when it means winning. I want to ask you, you just won Daytona twice in the same season. Once on the oval, once on the road course. What does it mean?
I think we've won down here 4 or 5 times, and then to win this thing down here at Daytona, it's always been good to us. Just hate really that the pandemic's going on. My family couldn't be here. Michael Self drove a really good race tonight. Sinclair's been on board with us all year and supported us through all this mess. It's been a really rough year getting things situated from all the rule changes and NASCAR changing everything that we've done over here for years. Just kind of getting rebooted and getting restarted. We've had some weeks that went pretty good here over the last few weeks, so looking forward to the rest of the races to come. Michael will be pretty good.
You did it, man. Nicely done.
He kept it together, Jim, something we don't see often out of an emotional Kevin Reed, crew chief from Michael Self. I'm sure Michael Self's wife, Dana, very happy, maybe tears as well, in a happy way for her tonight as her husband wins here under the lights.
Michael found a way for his dad to be included in the 9-member crew list, so his dad, Mike, is here. This is going to be an emotional win for Michael Self. We mentioned he won the race at Daytona to start the season. This, however, is his discipline. This is his house. This is where he tells other drivers how good they can be and improve them along the way. He now has put that to work here for this huge victory. Point leader coming into this one, he's gained on Brett Holmes. He's been losing ground to Brett Holmes. It was within 4 points of tying for the lead after this one if things didn't go Michael Self's way, and they did tonight.
Brett Holmes, second in the point standings, winds up 8th in this race. So Michael Self able to open up a little bit more of a gap between he and second place point man, Brett Holmes.
This is the best lap he's had. This is the best time that Michael Self's had. He's always critical of himself, and you see him finish second and third and said we didn't have the speed. We need to find more. They found it tonight, and the satisfaction here likely will be short-lived, but it's so good to see Michael Self win at a track he should win at. He's had that confidence. Now it's going to build into going on forward. We're going to Worldwide Technology Raceway and Gateway in a couple of weeks' time. He's got a week off finally to kind of let it all soak in and come to fore.
And remember, he told us this week, I'm done talking about the championship. Yes, it's our big picture, but we're in the middle of the season. All that matters are wins. Michael Self does donuts at Daytona, sweeps the Daytona races this year in ARCA on the big track to begin the season and on the road course tonight. That might be the best donuts Michael Self has ever done in his career. We will talk to Michael Self and more on MAV TV tonight here near the shore of the Atlantic Ocean. Just like he did to begin the season, point leader Michael Self climbing out victorious here tonight in one of the most legendary racetracks in the country, Daytona International Speedway, as the winner of the General Tire 100 Round 6 of the Sioux Chief Showdown.
The Lucas Oil 200 starts the season every year in Daytona, the first points race of the stock car calendar. Now we're christening the road course of the first-time winner back in Victory Lane, Gatorade Victory Lane at Daytona for Michael Self.
Well, guys, please excuse this man if he doesn't just take a second to let this one soak in. A 2-time winner of the 200 in February. We heard earlier tonight how Michael Self is a road racer at heart. Lives his life around the road course. And when this opportunity came up at Daytona, you knew he was going to be fired up to do it. And to come out tonight, sweeping both ends of the Daytona year here in the ARCA Menards Series. We don't know if we're ever going to have this opportunity again. So Michael Self wasn't going to let this one slip by. He's soaking this one in. And you know when he comes out, there's going to be a big smile on the face underneath that Sinclair face mask. Well, here he is. He is climbing out for the second time in the same calendar year. He is in Victory Lane at Daytona International Speedway. I'll cheer for you. Nicely done, my man. So come on over. Let's talk a little bit about what was an eventful night. An eventful night which saw you and Ty Gibbs put on a whale of a battle.
Man, that was so much fun racing with him. I hope he had as much fun as I did there at the end of that first stage, because that's what rain racing on the road courses is supposed to be about, man. That was so much fun. Ty's a great kid. Obviously a great racer. I've had the chance to work with him a little bit on the road courses, but I got to give his coach a little bit of a hard time, Thomas Merrill, because you got to do a little better, guy, because I got him today. But man, what a fun day! We struggled in practice. Plug wires fell off. We didn't even make a practice lap today, but these guys gave me an awesome Sinclair Oil Toyota. It's so, man, this is such a big deal for me to come and to win on a road course. I mean, I've been telling people for years I'm a great road racer, and I've been backing it up with coaching guys, and a shout out to all my clients, Keith, Jim, Matt, Tom, Justin, Haley. I mean, guys that I've worked with for a long time. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Man, this was so much fun. This is so cool to come win on a road course.
It was close quarters racing. Did you guys touch a couple times racing tight?
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's, like I said, I hope Ty had as much fun as I did, and if I finished second, I would still say I had a blast. I mean, that's rain racing, man. I hope the people tuned in tonight on MAV TV and saw this, because that had to have been some fun racing to watch. We need more road courses, man, and that was awesome.
4 and 5 looked like it was trouble for you all night long. That car really wanted to kind of move around, trying to get back up onto that big tri-oval.
So, 3...
Or was that the way you were just driving it?
Yeah, a little bit of that's the way you're driving it. 3 was really slick. Entry, very, very wet. I mean, up until the very end there. And 5 was also slick, and it's just a lot of moving around when you're in the rain. And I always say rain's it's the great equalizer, right? I mean, it takes a lot of equipment out of it, and it's guys that are searching around and searching for grip. That's one thing I've always kind of prided myself in, and one thing I've always really put on my clients that they have to do. And that paid off tonight, man. That's so much fun.
You made some history tonight. 2 trophies from Daytona in the same year. Pretty bitchin'.
I'll take it, man. That's awesome.
This is what he's worked for. He spent 5 years trying to find funding to get back behind the driver's seat, working with Justin Haley in 2016, and a NASCAR East Championship has proven the point where Michael Self has earned his place atop this victory lane podium.
He gets the win here tonight. Colin Brown winds up third, but that will be officially Sam Mayer, who started the race in that 21.
Taylor Gray, what can you say? He got up to 4th and stayed there. Will Rogers was the first car to finish across the line that put on the slick tires. No groove tires for the road race veteran. He got up to 5th. He was running up there for a while, but that just did not seem to be the right answer, as there was still moisture on the track. There still is some wet spots on the track.
Haley Deegan, her second straight 6th place run. She was hoping for just a little bit better with some road course experience on this track.
And what can you say about Brett Holmes coming to this race hoping to finish, hoping to keep 4 tires on the racetrack? Great job by the man who came in second in points, another top 10 run in the 23.
Chandler Smith was the Sioux Chiefs showdown point leader. We'll see what happens now, because Michael Self, who was right behind him, finished in the lead and for the victory here today. What a race, Dave Reef.
Well, Ty Gibbs comes home in second place tonight. One thing Michael Self said, no harm, no foul there. He hopes that you had as much fun racing with him as he had racing with you. Would you put it that way?
Yes, sir. I learned a lot from him. Michael, he's taught me a couple times in the Trans Am car. He's been really helpful and very fun to race against him right there. He's got all this experience, so I was just a little guy, and I hammered down as much as I could, and I just kind of got beat there. Couldn't get in the corner as hard as he could. As you see, I wheel hopped and went off the track a couple times. So it was a hard day. It was a fun time, but I can't just thank my Monster Energy team enough, and everybody that just helps me out. That was on me. I lost that one, and that was all driver. That was all me. So nothing with the car. That was just all me, and that's just me getting better. But I just can't thank everybody watching in, and hopefully I'll go back and work harder on myself. And I just frustrated. I could have won.
Well, that's my next question. Yeah. Was it frustration, emotional, getting out of the race car? You're certainly that's the moment when you realize the fruits of your labor for the night. What was the feeling climbing out?
Yeah, it just I try to make myself the best driver I possibly could be, and I want to win. I want to win so bad. It's hard to lose. So that's my only issue. And to everybody that thinks I'm butthurt, it's not. I'm butthurt and I'm a brat. I'm just very frustrated. I'm very hard on myself, and I like to make myself the best driver I possibly can. So I just want to thank everybody tuning in. I can't thank Monster Energy enough, and everybody back home, everybody at the shop. And sorry for hitting the mic. I hit that thing like 6 times. So thank you so much, guys.
Hey, you always make it fun, my man. Good run tonight, coming home second place to Michael Self, a road course veteran himself.
He's a racer. He's frustrated. He finishes second here tonight. Ty Gibbs wanted the victory, which would have been his 4th of the season. In a couple of weeks, we have our other ARCA Menards Series event Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway on August 29th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And you remember who won that last year?
I do. Ty Gibbs kind of nudged Sam Mayer for the victory there. I also know we're racing with trucks and IndyCar that weekend, so a lot of cool racing going on. Glad to be here live again in 2 weeks' time on MAV.
Colin Brown wound up finishing in third for Sam Mayer here today, is now standing by with Dave Reed.
Well, if you believe the belts on the driver's suit, it's 2 Sam Mayers down here. Talked to Colin just before he got in the race car about borrowing a suit. Everything fitting's just fine. But Sam, how proud are you of this guy securing a third-place finish for that GMS racing team?
Yeah, I mean, we fired off really good at the start of the race when it was really wet, and I was able to hold on pretty good, but I really couldn't go much further. I'm glad we had a halfway break because my hands started hurting pretty bad. So I'm really proud of him. He got in the race car when everyone else had 14 laps and he had 0. And he was able to still bring a top 3, and I'm really impressed about that, and I'm really proud of him and thankful that he could be here in the first place.
Well, Colin, you haven't been in a stock car racing NASCAR on a road course since 2011 and made it look like it was child's play. He was worried about how quickly you'd get up to speed. Shoot, before we know it, a lap you're in second for a brief time.
Yeah, I was a little worried when I got to second, honestly. These guys at GMS did a great job. The Chevy was fast, and, I got myself up into second and went, I don't really know where I'm supposed to brake here going into the bus stop. I haven't done a lap yet. So for me, I sort of overachieved early and then realized, man, I got to figure out a couple laps here before I know where my brake points are and all those kind of things. So really proud of Sam. He was doing a great job. Like I told him, I felt like I came in halfway through the movie and had to catch up. But happy to get these guys a top 3 and on to the next one for them.
Pretty good job by Sam and Sam, or Sam and Colin, or Colin, well, whoever you guys are. Great job by that GMS racing team tonight.
A strong effort by that team, by both of the drivers here tonight, and Sam Mayer is one of the drivers battling for the championship in the Suit Chief Showdown. He'll go on to Gateway in a couple of weeks here on MAV TV.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. General Tire, anywhere is possible. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
It took a while for Michael Self to win his second race of the year, but it came on the track that he won his first race on. Sort of. The big track, 2.5 miles in length to kick off the season.
That's Dad right there, finally getting the hug. He's been so behind Michael. When he grew up in Utah, his dad moved there for his business. Michael adapted well. Michael got the chance to race full-time professionally with Sinclair's backing after moving to North Carolina as a driver coach for Justin Haley. So to have Dad here, who still lives in Utah, and Michael with his wife now living in the Carolinas, to have them together for this moment, that means a ton for them too. They've worked really hard with his Utah-based sponsor to get them to this point.
Let's find out how Michael Self won this race at Daytona in the Lucas Oil race recap. He was on the outside of the front row with Chandler Smith, the number 20. He led the Sioux Chiefs Showdown point standings coming into this race, but Michael Self was able to go to the lead until the 18 car of Ty Gibbs went on the attack.
That was the second lap. There's still a lot of spray and rooster tails, and Ty gave it a go.
Chandler Smith would loop it. He would battle back to finish inside the top 10. Michael Self strong once again. He went toe-to-toe with the 18 of Ty Gibbs. That road course experience for Michael Self really paid off. This was a battle near the midway point of the race.
And Ty wheel hopped here. That left rear tire was not able to hold the position, and Ty was actually regretting that in his post-race interview. It weighed on that young driver as Michael was able to pull away in the 25.
Contact between Chandler Smith and Mclaughlin in the 1, and around went the 1. Mclaughlin came back to finish 7th. Here we go, late in the race. The 18 had the lead, took it, and then Michael Self would battle back to get the victory here on the road course of Daytona. An emotional victory for all at Venturini Motorsports.
We are off to more oval racing, but Michael Self proved this championship he is going to be in the hunt. He's going to be in the hunt for the rest of it, and he now has the Sioux Chief Showdown point lead heading into Gateway.
For Dave Reed, Jim Tradill, and everybody at Lucas Oil Production Studios, I say thank you so much for watching us live at Daytona tonight, and a big congratulations for the driver from Utah, Michael Self. What a big victory.